Tomorrow is chasing new adventures and following them everywhere. Fly Emirates. Hello, tomorrow.
Meanwhile, a group of politicians, civil society activists, veteran diplomats, professionals and journalists, amongst others, have signed an appeal entitled Justice for Veliveria, Time for Indignation. The signatories to this appeal include prominent personalities such as the former Sri Lankan permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, Tamara Kunanayakam, the former permanent representative to the UN in New York, Dr. Dayan Jayathilaka, parliamentarian Dr. Rajiva Vijayasinghe and senior lawyer J.C. Valiamuna.
Signatories to this appeal note that the shooting of unarmed civilians in Veliveria and Valumahara by army soldiers equipped with T-56 assault rifles, armoured vehicles and bulletproof vests is of unusual gravity for the consequences it will certainly have on the confidence placed by the ordinary citizen on those in power. The appeal for justice questions as to what confidence people can have in a state that uses live ammunition against its own unarmed citizens, whose peaceful protest for drinking water cannot by any stretch of imagination be compared with participation in hostilities in an armed conflict situation. The appeal seeks answers to the following questions. Who gave the army orders to intervene and deploy as it did? Who gave the army orders to fire? Did the law enforcement authorities exhaust all other means available to them before calling in the army? Did those who directed the operation identify an external enemy or a lethally armed internal enemy to justify army intervention? Who decided to impose the unofficial curfew, electricity blackout, curtailment of telephone transmission and stoppage of transport along the Colombo-Kandy road? Why were representatives of the media deliberately targeted? When the military spokesman Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuriya seeks to justify army action by arguing that a certain group had attempted to quote-unquote fish in troubled waters and denies despite evidence to the contrary the attacks on journalists, does this reflect the position of the government? Even if the claim by the Ministry of Defence is true that a political group was indeed involved in organising the protest action, since when does that give the army the right to fire live bullets at unarmed civilians? The people have a right to know the truth. How many have been killed? How many injured? How many arrested? How many disappeared?